Good morning. Welcome to another episode of The Pirate Therapist. I am Lee Perry. I am the Pirate Therapist. I am your host on this little journey that we are calling The Pirate Therapist. Okay, today's episode, we want to talk about being open minded or open mindedness versus judgment. Can you think about the last time you were cut off in traffic? That someone did something while you were driving that really bothered you, that irritated you? What was the first thought that went through your head? What a terrible driver, or what a jerk, or one of many other things. Now imagine if instead of judging, you tried to get a little curious, you tried to be a little more open minded. I wonder what they were doing. I wonder why they were in a hurry. It's that tiny shift in perspective from judgment to being open minded or being curious that can completely change the way we see people. Have you noticed how quickly we jump to conclusions about people? Someone cuts us off in traffic and we label them a jerk. A coworker misses a deadline and we decide that they must be lazy. A neighbor doesn't wave and suddenly they're unfriendly. But what if instead of judging, we got curious or we accepted that something might be going on? What if the driver was racing to the hospital, or a coworker was taking care of a sick parent, or maybe the neighbor was just having a bad day? Maybe we should stop and be a little more open and try and understand what could explain a behavior that we find unpleasant or unappealing. Well, today we're going to talk about being open minded versus judgment. How asking what else could be true, what else could be going on here, how that can open the door to empathy and compassion and help you build stronger connections with people. What judgment does, well, people are judgmental for several reasons, often rooted in a need to feel superior or to cope with insecurities, or maybe they are being judgmental to gain a sense of belonging or aligning with a specific group of people. Judgment can be a form of projection where people project their own unwanted traits or fears onto others to avoid confronting them. Additionally, ingrained cultural norms, fears of the unknown, and cognitive biases can contribute to judgmental attitudes. Some psychological and emotional factors is insecurity and low self esteem. Criticizing others can make us feel better temporarily. We get that ego boost. We get the sense of superiority. We get to feel like maybe we're a little better than them. And in the short term, that can feel pretty good. It can make someone feel superior. It can help them mask their own self doubt and their own insecurities. If I look at you, I'm not worried about me right now because I'm making you the problem. Does that make sense? Where I want to point fingers at you rather than look at myself. Projection. People often judge others for traits that they dislike or fear in themselves. By focusing on another's perceived flaws, they can avoid dealing with their own, like I just said. Fear of the unknown. Judgment can stem from fear of what is different or unfamiliar. People may judge others in order to feel safer or maintain a sense of control over their environment. Sometimes being judgmental comes from a sense of survival, if you will, where if we don't understand something, that could have negative repercussions to us. It could be kind of a survival mechanism. I don't want to get killed because I don't understand. And that's not likely to happen today. No mastodon is in danger of trampling us because we were not paying attention. Sometimes we seek a sense of belonging. By aligning with the group and criticizing those outside of it, people can strengthen their bonds with the group and feel accepted. And we see that a lot today. We see that in all the political parties where we get these echo chambers where everybody is just repeating everything that they hear all around them in their own little group. And we get these echo chambers. And that leads to a lot of judgment. Social and cognitive factors, cultural norms, societal expectations, and cultural influences can shape what behaviors are deemed acceptable or unacceptable. And this can contribute to people being more judgmental. Narrow mindedness, a rigid worldview, whether conservative or liberal, can lead to automatic judgment of anyone or anything that doesn't align with my ideals or whoever is doing the judging. Cognitive Cognitive biases. The brain uses shortcuts or biases to process information quickly. These can lead to making assumptions about people and situations without knowing all the facts. Now, judgment can do things for us, and oftentimes they will feel good in the short term. That is not necessarily what's going to be long term. In fact, oftentimes long term, it doesn't feel good at all. But it can feel good sometimes by making ourselves feel superior. It can make us feel validated. It helps us identify values by observing and forming opinions about others so that we can clarify what we like and aspire to be and what we want to avoid. It can be a useful tool. Judgment, when used constructively, can involve rational decision making, interpreting situations, and avoiding biases in order to make sound choices. But I'm going to expound on that a little bit. In order for judgment to be a positive thing, which I don't believe it usually is, but it can be, and that's only if we are open minded to the potential of us being wrong and being willing to take in new information. So when we do make that judgment, we are using the best information available, always with an open mind to where we can make a wiser choice. Quick or snap judgments are natural. Our brains are wired to do that. But if we leave them unchecked, they shut down empathy, they strain relationships, and they keep us locked into assumptions instead of understanding. We need to be open minded. Now, what open mindedness does, being open minded offers benefits such as increased knowledge, creativity, problem solving skills by welcoming new ideas and perspectives, no matter how much we think we know. If we allow for more information to have a place, we will always be learning and growing and doing better. This can lead to improved relationships and empathy. It can foster better communication and understanding with others. Open mindedness enhances personal growth, confidence, mental well being by promoting adaptability and self reflection. And it provides a wider range of career opportunities by expanding skills and professional value. Benefits for personal growth and well being. It can enhance personal growth by embracing new experiences and new ideas, keeps the mind flexible and adaptable in constantly changing world. It's facilitating continuous learning and personal development. Being open minded leads to greater self awareness and confidence. It encourages you to look at yourself. It allows you to think more carefully about your experiences and your decisions. It allows you the opportunity that you might be wrong. And when you're wrong, that is an excellent learning opportunity. But we have to be open to taking in not just that possibility, but what information comes with accepting that we were wrong in our assumptions. And this can have a very beneficial effect for us by our own personal learning and growth, which makes us feel more confident. The more we learn and the more we know we're learning, the better we feel and the more confident we feel about ourselves. Improved mental and emotional well being comes from being open minded. More flexible mindset can lead to greater psychological well being as it reduces feelings of being trapped or dogmatic beliefs or societal expectations. Something I've seen a lot is when someone discovers that they are wrong, they feel the need to protect themselves, especially if they have made judgments and they have perhaps said some things that were unkind or alienating to someone else. And then they find out that they were wrong. I find that a lot of times people will get defensive and they will try and argue that even though they know they're wrong, they do that because they're embarrassed. They feel ashamed, perhaps, of the labels and assumptions they made and the things that they said. Being open minded and accepting that we can be wrong is important. and it helps us to grow as a human. It increases empathy. By considering others' viewpoints and perspectives, we develop a deeper understanding and empathy for people, even those whose beliefs are different from our own or lifestyles are different from our own. If we can accept their perspectives and listen to them and understand them, that empathy allows room for people who have different lifestyles and beliefs. Isn't that what we want? Society would be awful if we all believed the same exact thing. We need differences out there. We need people to bounce ideas off of. We need people who disagree with us to help us challenge our own thinking so we can make better decisions ourselves, so we can learn. If we just go with what we believe and don't question it, at some point we're going to be wrong. It's better that we have someone that we can respectfully disagree with and discuss things with and challenge our thinking than it is to just listen to an echo chamber and believe delusionally that we're right. Anyway, increasing creativity. Welcoming new ideas and different angles when approaching a subject can spark more creative ideas and solutions that you might not have considered otherwise. This is one of my favorites, better problem solving skills. If you are open to different perspectives, both your own and others, it is crucial for finding collaborative and effective solutions to problems. You get those people that think differently than you, and you come together and you challenge each other's thinkings and you share your ideas and you put them together. And if everybody is open to creating a solution by collaborating, we can come up with some better ideas, some better ways or solutions of tackling those challenges. Being open minded gives us a much wider knowledge base because it's not just me. I don't know everything. But if I'm open minded, I can tap into anybody else that is willing to share with me. I can tap into what they know too. I can take all of that in, which only helps me grow and do better. I am not always going to agree with them, but it does allow for me to learn and grow and accept other people's beliefs and their knowledge and the way they do things. And that will often lead to a betterment of myself. Benefits for relationships and professional life. It creates stronger relationships. Open-minded individuals make others feel heard and valued. It fosters trust and creating a safe environment for communication, which is essential for strong friendships and romantic relationships. Improved communication. An open-minded approach is vital for effective communication as it allows for understanding others' needs and concerns, which is key to thriving connections in all aspects of life. It can enhance career prospects. A broader knowledge base and more flexible mindset can not only enrich you, but everybody around you, your work team, your entire company can benefit from you being open-minded and flexible. It can improve your professional skills and make you a more valuable and adaptable employee. Another one of my favorites, greater approachability. People are often drawn to open-minded individuals because they are perceived as curious and approachable, and they will listen without immediate judgment. One of the basic things I think everybody wants in life is to be heard. And so when you come across someone who seems to be open and approachable, we tend to like them more because we feel like they will listen and we all want to be heard. Curiosity opens space for understanding. It invites questions instead of conclusions. It helps us build bridges instead of walls. For example, instead of she's lazy for missing a deadline, being open minded says, well, what might she be struggling with? What could be going on with her? Why didn't she meet that deadline? Rather than just saying, why didn't you do this, you lazy person? So, how can we practice being open minded in our daily life? Well, first, we can pause before reacting. Ask yourself, what else could be true here? What could be going on that could explain this rather than assuming what's happened that we didn't like? Talk to them, communicate, ask questions instead of assuming. Say something like, can you tell me more about that? Can you help me understand? Another thing is flip the script. Imagine if you were being judged on one bad moment in your life. Would you like to be judged? Probably not. We've all had bad moments. We've all said things and done things that perhaps we didn't like. It happens. So rather than judging other people, understand that people have bad days. People have moments where they are overcome with emotion. Maybe they're tired. They have a lot of stress. All of these things can lead to a bad day. And if they have a bad day, we could offer them compassion instead of judgment. We could help them by trying to understand and then offering compassion to help maybe take some of the trouble they're going through off of their plate so they can more quickly get back to a good day. Now, I asked a person to share an experience with me, and she wrote me a letter that I think addresses this very well. When I first moved into my neighborhood, I noticed the man that lived next door, Mr. Harris. He was quiet. He kept his blinds closed and never joined any of the things we did as neighborhood. He rarely even waved when people walked by. Pretty soon I started telling myself he's unfriendly or even rude. I didn't like him. He doesn't want to be a part of our community. And honestly, the other neighbors seemed to agree. One night, my daughter left her bike out on the sidewalk. The next morning, it was gone. My first thought, I don't know why, my first thought was it must have been Mr. Harris. He probably got annoyed and took it. He always seems to glare at her when she's out riding her bike around. Well, later that day, there was a knock on my door, and there he was, Mr. Harris. He was standing there holding the bike, and he said, I saw it out last night, and I didn't want it to get stolen, so I put it in my garage. I felt really small. All this time, I had judged him, and I assumed the worst. But then, for the first time, I actually asked, how are you doing? I don't see you around much. That's when he shared what was really happening with him. He told me his wife had passed away the year before, and he had been struggling with grief. He said he felt people were overwhelming, so he stayed home. He wasn't unfriendly, he was just lonely. That moment changed everything. I realized that me being judgmental had kept him at arm's length, when what he needed was some compassion, someone to reach out and show him some kindness. Once the neighbors knew his story, things started to change. We invited him, gently, without pressure. My daughter left him little notes and drawings and took him some brownies to say hello and thank you. Slowly, he began to step back into the community. It taught me something. Judgment had kept me blind, but being open to understanding and learning about him opened my eyes. I felt awful about the way I had judged him, but I have tried since to do more to listen and judge less. I try to ask questions that will help me understand rather than rush to judgment and experience that awful feeling I felt when that happened with Mr. Harris. This is the thing about judgment. It makes us fill in the blanks with the worst possible assumption. But if we're open and curious, that invites us to pause and ask, what else is going on here? What could explain this that is not nefarious or bad? In Mr. Harris's case, judgment kept the whole neighborhood at a distance. But by being open-minded and opening the door to understanding, it led to connection and empathy and compassion. And if that can happen with one quiet neighbor, imagine how different our workplaces, our friendships, our families, even our communities can be if we choose to be open-minded and not judgmental. If we choose to try and understand and get to know each other better, how much better could our relationships be? We should always allow that there is a very real possibility that we can be wrong. As a wise person once said, It's better to keep your mouth shut and be thought of as a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. If we keep an open mind and we push the curiosity rather than judgment, we will avoid making judgments that make us look and feel bad. There's always an opportunity to listen. It's much harder to try and claw back words that we've spoken and try to undo any of the damage that we caused. We will also feel better if we don't ever get into the position that we need to repair that damage that our judgment has caused in the first place. So, what are some of the benefits of being open minded? Well, I'm going to ask some questions that I would like you to reflect on. Maybe you can journal about this. Maybe I'll do an episode on journaling. But I would like you to consider these questions. When was the last time I jumped to a conclusion about someone and later I learned that I was wrong? Interesting. Okay, question 2. How might that situation have changed if I had chosen curiosity instead of judgment, if I had been open minded? Question 3. What question could I ask the next time I feel tempted to assume the worst about someone? Okay, question 4. Who in my life right now might benefit from me being more open minded about their story, about what they're going through? 5. How can practice open mindedness deepen my empathy and compassion? Okay, so some of the benefits: it reduces conflict, it strengthens empathy and compassion, it creates a healthier conversation in our lives in every aspect, at work, at home, in our communities, at church, your Tuesday night bingo. It doesn't matter where you are. If you are open minded and you bother to take the time to get to know the people around you and ask questions and try to understand, it increases that empathy and compassion and it builds and strengthens those relationships. So, judgment is easy, it's fast, it's automatic, and it makes us feel certain. But certainty isn't the same as truth. When we choose curiosity or open mindedness, we leave room for understanding and for empathy. The truth is, everyone you meet is carrying a story or fighting a fight that you cannot see. By pausing and asking, what else could be going on here? What could this person be going through? You shift from labeling to listening. You start listening to understand instead of listening to respond. You shift, and this shift stops you from closing doors and starts opening doors. So here's a challenge for you this week. If you catch yourself in a moment of judgment, instead stop the judgment and try to be more open minded. Try to ask questions that help you understand. You could discover that the very people that you were tempted to judge, maybe you misunderstood them. Maybe there's something going on that you might be able to help with. It will help you show compassion and understanding and build and strengthen that relationship. This week, when you feel yourself about to judge someone, pause. Instead of saying, "What's wrong with this person?" say, "What's going on? How can I understand this person and their struggle better?" That small shift in perspective can change not just your relationship, but your own peace of mind. I want to thank you guys again. I want to tell you how much I appreciate those of you who watch these, the feedback that I have been given. That all means a lot to me. I really enjoy hearing back what people feel and what they think and hear about what they hear. I really appreciate those of you that take the time to listen and respond, and those of you who ask questions. I love that. I appreciate that. And I want to address those things. And it makes this a much more fulfilling experience for me as well. So for today, I am the Pirate Therapist. Thank you once again for joining me. And I will be back next week. And I hope to see you there. Well, I won't see you. This is kind of a one-way thing. But if you email me, there is a link. I would be happy to read that email and answer any questions. All right. Thank you very much. So for this week, I bid you adieu.